As the now retired school superintendent in Revelstoke and active contributor to literacy initiatives in Revelstoke, both as chair of our local literacy committee and as member, it is really my pleasure to highlight what I believe are the significant power of partnerships that have existed in our community to enhance children and family literacy in Revelstoke. We do most of the work in Revelstoke with a lot of partners. This represents an overview of most of the partners that engage with us in some way to enhance literacy, primarily for young children, school-aged children, adults, Aboriginal children and their families, and certainly youth and seniors. I've highlighted 4 significant partners in the success for literacy in our community. Most notably, of course, our Revelstoke Literacy Action Committee, supported by our Literacy Outreach Coordinator, which is, of course, funded by the Ministry of Education, and the Columbia Basin Alliance for Literacy Support Network. What I'd like to do is highlight how do we know we're making a difference, beyond, of course, the very real data that we have, that we've essentially changed the face of kindergarten students entering our school system. But we do have a data collection regimen that we follow. We use the EDI, which I'm going to comment about. Our community and district literacy plan contains many touch points supporting our goals and objectives, indicators, and we have an annual goal setting and evaluation process that supports overall our planning. I've prepared 4. In the next 5 slides, I want to show the significant changed face of kindergarten students in our community. It's really quite phenomenal. When we began implementation of the EDI, you can see clearly that we were one of the least vulnerable communities. Very pleased for that. 19.1% vulnerability. Candidly, we were happy to be green. What was really compelling at the meeting when Clyde Hertzman shared that data was the Revelstokians at the table looked at each other and said, oh my goodness, where are those 19% of children, and what are we going to do for them? We worked extremely hard. This was a very difficult fiscal period, and we were worried about the ability to sustain 19.1%. The next wave, we were absolutely thrilled that we had sustained a low vulnerability and achieved a 12% vulnerability. We knew at that point that we had impacted significantly some families and some children. The least vulnerable community, the pressure was certainly on to bring to bear all of the supports we had and continue our commitment to our literacy plan. In the 2008 to 2009 period, Wave 3, very successful period of time. Lots of partners engaged in programs and services. Many hands do make light work, and pretty much over the moon with a 6.7% vulnerability. In the subsequent 2 years, bringing us to present day, Wave 4 at 10%, and most recently, Wave 5 at a very similar 11%. Irrespective of these images that speak to the low level of vulnerability of our kindergarten students, I saw the difference immediately as a superintendent. The number of requests from kindergarten teachers for additional educational assistance staff to assist with behavioral issues, speech issues, language issues, had just declined tremendously. Our Neighborhood Learning Center, which we have named our Early Learning Literacy and Health Center within our newest school, has a custom built space for community literacy programs. It's extremely well used. And we have an office for our community literacy outreach coordinator. She's accessible and available, and it's a key element to how families are improving their family literacy. Together, we support parents with their development, training, and workshops to support their skills as mums and dads. Universal programs, certainly funded by the funds provided, such as Parents as Literacy Supporters, Parents of Primary Students, and targeted support to children from the one-to-one Children's Literacy Program, all have contributed to the success that we have beyond kindergarten. When I mentioned the changed face of our kindergarten children, we have the results over time from our DIBELS data. That's the dynamic indicators of basic early literacy skills. And you can see that rather than having less than 50% of our students with those skills, we enjoy, based on the cohort, upwards of 60, 70, or 80%. How does this look as the kids get older? With programs like PALS, POPs, and the school district interventions, the Gray oral reading test administered to all of our students, grades 4 to 7, basically demonstrate that we know how to send readers to the high school. If we send children who can read to the high school, they can be extremely successful. Our initiative continues to keep them reading at high school, and the data also on this slide for grades 9 and 10 indicate extremely high levels of success in reading fluency, which is absolutely critical. How does this really impact kids overall? It's really quite phenomenal. This slide pretty much speaks for itself. The number of students who were flagged years ago as having a moderate or severe behavior disorder were significant, almost always in the district, between the 40 and 50 students. Now it is a rare occurrence to flag a student as moderate or severe behavior disordered. I do have the current data for last school year 14-15 and this school year, and it is exactly consistent with the data that we have, 1 or 2 at most students flagged in this way. Candidly, students that can read, boys that read, just don't have poor behaviors. What it all has meant for the school district is that more than a decade ago, we were well below the provincial average in the number of students who completed a dogwood. We now exceed the provincial average regularly. That is our expectation. We have upwards of anywhere from 90 to 98% of our students who achieve a dogwood. That's all students in, all students counted. And if we consider that every cohort we have 1 or 2 students that have a very severe special need, and leave us with a evergreen certificate, really we are enjoying almost 100% graduation rates in our community, period. I'm proud of what we've done in our community. I know firsthand what an effort on literacy and family literacy can do to help raise readers, to ensure that kids have lifelong skills, and I just can't say enough for the support of our literacy outreach coordinator, Tracy Spanier, in terms of what she coordinates so that with a small amount of money you can make exceptional gains.